Hey guys, welcome back to the Kingdom Grindset podcast. Today we are continuing a discussion on hidden sin. We're going to cover the topic of lust. So, lust. I like the idea of thinking about it as an overburning for anything because most people will hear that word and think, oh, it's got to be dealing with like physical immorality or self abuse or inappropriate material online. But really, it's this idea of being sort of obsessed with anything that might have a physical effect on us or that might affect our bodies and our minds. Let's talk about some examples of that.
Just like we mentioned in the last episode, having a hobby that you love doing, that is not a bad thing. But too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, and that can turn into a form of lust. For example, if you love going hiking or you love going on adventures, that's a good thing. But once that becomes like pretty much all of who you are, that's when it goes from just being a hobby to something that you are lusting after or something that you are obsessed with. You always have to find something new to do. And even though it doesn't seem like it could be a bad thing at first, it can turn into something that will be harmful for either you or your walk with God.
I mean, I guess you could say you can have a lust for food.
Gluttony.
It's the sin of gluttony. You just can't stop at one piece of cake or one brownie. You have to have another and another. Pretty soon you've ate the whole box of cookies or whatever it might be. Anything that you put ahead of God, anything that is fulfilling what you would view as your needs instead of letting God.
When I think of lust, I think of like physical desires. So definitely things that affect our physical sensation. So what we see, maybe it's food, what we want to taste, what we want to feel inside, different things that we get exposed to as part of walking out this human life. It's so powerful, right? Because anything that impacts our feelings has somewhat of a hold on us if we allow it to. And the society kind of teaches us today that you should feel good. This is what life is about, is finding out what feels good. And one thing that I've seen that's pretty prevalent in today's society, especially when it comes to physical immorality, inappropriate relationships, physical relationships, is that it's being normalized, right? There is a whole entire subculture and business model that's dedicated to people engaging in immorality. It's almost like, well, that's just the thing that people do. That's something that we as men and young men are exposed to and have to wrestle with all the time.
There's a big part of the culture that is obsessed with fear.
Yeah. I mean, that moment right before a jump scare or that feeling of like impending dread, or you see like the main character or something is about to do something really stupid. They're about to walk in like a dark room where the main, I don't know, antagonist is obviously waiting. Like, it's stuff like that. It's like that feeling of anticipation and dread. It's really addicting. It is something that you can get obsessed with.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that a little bit because I used to watch scary movies a lot when I was a kid and in my early adulthood. I mean, I loved the mystery, I loved the gore, the monsters, and I did get obsessed with that. And at the time, I don't think I was afraid of these things. It wasn't that it scared me, but it was more to your point, what you're saying, Jamin. I loved like the thrill of the characters that are involved in these movies and their impending doom that was happening, and it was right around the corner and there's about to be some kind of shock or explosion or something pop out. I definitely became obsessed with stuff like that. And the interesting thing, if you do have an affinity or that's something that grabs your attention, is that you don't really know how it erodes your relationships or how you see the world. For me, I became desensitized to certain things like that, and it definitely is something that impacted my ability to really relate to others in the best way that I should, being desensitized to some of those elements that are in horror films.
Yeah, basically, like, everybody looks through life through a lens. Whatever you're dealing with in life creates a lens of how you filter things and how you view people. And so if you're dealing with fear, or you maybe inundate yourself with horror movies. You keep thinking that that person that you met might, I don't know.
I mean, it's not just horror though. It's the same thing with all form of media. You can get addicted to watching YouTube because you see these people who live really interesting lives. They do all these really cool things, and you're like, your own world starts looking like it's really boring. And so you get obsessed with this person. Their life seems so much more interesting. But little do you know that you are missing the opportunity to make your life something more than what it is at the moment.
Sure.
So it's not that you're just like watching their life, but you're pretty much becoming envious. You want what they want, and then all of a sudden what you have is just not enough.
Yeah.
You want to be in it, but you don't do anything to get yourself there.
Sure.
There's no self-improvement, I guess I would say.
Yeah. When you're viewing and observing what other people are doing all the time, doesn't leave much room for you to enact any kind of personal change for yourself to get to where you actually want to be. And that's another thing too, like, you know, that sin of comparison and envy. A lot of times with that, what other people are doing is not even exactly what you want to be doing if you were to sit down and really reflect on it. One thing that I've noticed in myself is that as I've grown up, I've seen certain people have certain things, like different cars or, you know, going on this type of vacation and so forth. Very materialistic sort of mindsets, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with going on nice vacations, having, you know, supercars or anything like that. If that's something that you enjoy and it's not, you know, overcoming and taking over your life. But when I was younger, I used to think, man, I want to do that too. I want that. But as I matured, I realized that I'm not a very materialistic person. So why do I need a Lamborghini? I would not take care of it, and it wouldn't do anything for me. When it comes to certain other things like jewelry or having a bunch of stuff, it really doesn't even fit for me because I feel like I'm overwhelmed by managing all this stuff. It's not something that I really wanted, but when I was younger, I thought I wanted those things and had envy over those things because everyone else had them.
It's pretty much like you want other people's success without working towards there, which is a very easy thing to obsess over.
And even like looking at what people are experiencing through the lens of social media, it's not even real. It's not real life at all. We don't know what it took for them to get there, and we don't even know the challenges and troubles that come with that lifestyle. All we can see is the fun and the excitement because that's what's being promoted. And then for some, if the content is inappropriate, which there's a lot of creators out there that are doing inappropriate content, for them, we don't know what that's doing to their personal and mental life and their spiritual life. I mean, obviously, if you're engaging in immorality and then you're posting it online, we know that is not good for your spirit. We know that's not healthy for your growth. But because it's being normalized and because it's become like just something that people do and a great way to make money, there's a lot of people falling into that and destroying themselves.
Destroying themselves is probably the key word for that.
Yeah.
It's probably like the key word for all these things.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much you want to be somewhere that either you have not been called to be, or you're pretty much throwing yourself in the fire without putting on your like armor that would keep you from getting burned.
When it comes to lust, like that's exactly what it does. Because if you think about it, lust is really just sin against yourself. You're sinning against the body, right? Either through obsessing over certain things when it comes to immorality. I mean, you are destroying your mind and you're destroying yourself when you are participating in the sin of lust and you allow that to overtake you. It all kind of boils down to this immediate feeling. Oh, I feel good. But ultimately, it's like wading through a fire without any kind of insulation or protection and just burning yourself up without noticing.
You know, and that's a big part of it. You want to feel that moment of sensation, that feel-good moment, and that might exist for a moment. And see, that's the thing about sin is fun for a season, but in the end, it leads to death. Okay, so Where does that sin lead to death? It leads to death of your relationships.
Yeah.
It leads to spiritual death. Part of you dies or is dying when you're engaging in stuff that God did not create for you to engage in. When you're watching inappropriate material, you're literally scorching yourself with a hot iron. And you get that immediate sensation. If you touch a hot stove, ow, you jump back. You're like, whoa, that's a sensation. It doesn't feel good. but you're searing your conscience.
Yeah,
And
it literally rewires your brain when you're watching inappropriate material or consuming inappropriate content. I mean, your brain is being changed to be wired to continue needing more and more in that. You keep getting hit with that good feeling, that sensation, and that's really just your dopamine just releasing, and then you become to a point where you live for that. And every moment and every minute, that is what your attention is drawn to.
so I got a question. Do you guys want to live for that next moment that and just go from moment to moment to moment? Or do you want to actually live real life, have real relationships where you're affecting real people? And I mean that's
That's the question, right? A lot of them do want to live just for the moment. A lot of them do want to just have whatever I can have today, whatever feeling, whatever happiness I can have within the next 10 hours is all I really am assured that I'm going to have. So, what's been your experience with, I guess, teens grappling with this idea that we have to seize the day?
My dad talked about it being like a hot stove, but honestly, I'd say it's kind of more of a slow burn. It's when you're like you're cooking a frog, you throw it in the pot. If you turn up the high heat as fast as you can, it starts boiling, the frog is going to jump out. But if you slowly like turn up the heat little by little by little, it's going to boil. And I've been burnt pretty similarly. I had my hand on a stove, didn't realize the stove was hot, and as it was on there, it got hotter and hotter and hotter, and I got really bad burns on my hand. Now, take that, and I didn't even realize I was getting burnt. I don't think I actually noticed I was getting burnt until somebody else pointed it out. So we might not even realize that jumping from moment to moment to moment is slowly like killing us until somebody will point it out.
it's easier to live into the media world, social media, TikTok, all that stuff. The Bible says that a man who isolates himself seeks his own desires. We're created to seek after God and fulfill desires that he's placed into us. And you don't get to live life if you're living behind a phone screen. You miss out. You see a lot of crazy stuff that happens in the world today, you know, people going out and just hurting a lot of people. And you're like, well, what happened there? Well, a lot of times that person isolated themselves and to the point where they didn't have anybody to hold them accountable. They isolated themselves to the point where they don't have friends anymore. And they don't have nothing to live for. And so they think their whole reason for existence is to feel good in the moment. And that doesn't create a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. I think that brings up a really big question that I think we need to explore, young men of Christ. What do we offer up? And how do we provide a solution and help our brothers who might be struggling with this? And for those who don't know Christ, who might be struggling with some of these things, show them that there is a better way. Show them that there's something that is more fulfilling. Because as Christians, we can talk about our experiences and how we've overcome these things. But at the end of the day, there's still somebody out there who's struggling. And let's be honest, anybody who's struggled with any kind of lust, when you fulfill that lust and that temptation, it does feel good. You do get that dopamine hit. What are some strategies to address this? And how do we make a pretty good argument in the world, in a society where immorality is normalized, where materialism and having the best experiences and these amazing feelings is more valuable than seeking Christ-centered relationships and growing together in Christ and building each other up and serving and giving back to communities?
I think that a person lost in that would be like, well, why do I want to give? Why do I want to serve? You know, I want to just have fun. Here's how it works. God created us relationship beings. We're designed by God to have relationship. It's not good for man to be alone. It's in Genesis. Just play off of that for a minute. You know, a man who isolates himself, seeks his own desires. Okay, so people that get caught up in watching inappropriate things, they're stealing out of their future what would probably be an amazing relationship. And they kind of ruin something inside of them.
So there's something I want to say, kind of going back to what Mr. Kim was saying. Living for yourself is not going to be fulfilling. You can live for yourself. It's going to feel great for a season. But you won't ever feel that like feeling of satisfaction with your day. You're not going to feel like I did the best I could do and I'm happy with it. You're never going to feel that feeling. The only way you'll ever be truly satisfied and live a life that's worth living is by living a life for others. It's by taking time out of your day to help some random person. You might think like before you do it, oh, this is going to be inconvenient. Why would I do this? But after you're done, that's one of the best feelings that you'll ever get. Living for yourself, you're going to get that immediate satisfaction. You don't have to really work towards anything other than your own personal gain and growth. But living for others, that is one thing that will give you the most valuable feelings and most valuable life lessons you'll ever have.
I think you're right on there, something, Javen. God has given us the fruit of spirit, joy. And so if you're a Christian out there, then God's placed joy on the inside of you. And you're not going to feel that joy if you're living for yourself.
If this message has been speaking to you, send this to a friend, throw out a like, throw out a subscription. This is the second installment in a series of secret sins. If you missed the first episode, I encourage you to go back, watch that, and keep an eye out for next week.